Good evening. Tonight we turn our attention to a major development on the world stage that has captured headlines and sparked debate across the globe. President Donald Trump's highly anticipated meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin, originally scheduled to take place in Helsinki, has now been postponed. The summit, which was expected to address some of the most pressing issues between the two nations, is now on hold, leaving many to wonder about the future of US-Russia relations. According to official statements from the White House, the delay is due to scheduling conflicts. However, officials emphasize that achieving peace in Ukraine remains a top priority for the administration. The ongoing conflict in Ukraine has been a central issue in US-Russia diplomacy, and the world is watching closely to see how this postponement might affect the situation on the ground. This delay comes after months of careful planning and signals a significant shift in US strategy, moving towards more direct negotiations with Moscow. Behind the scenes, diplomats have been working tirelessly to lay the groundwork for meaningful dialogue, hoping that a face-to-face meeting could pave the way for progress. President Trump has repeatedly stated his intention to use his renowned deal-making skills to broker a ceasefire in Ukraine. He believes that personal diplomacy and direct engagement with President Putin could be the key to unlocking a path toward lasting peace, a goal that has eluded previous administrations. In the meantime, the United States has ramped up economic pressure on Russia, imposing tougher sanctions that specifically target the Russian oil industry. These measures are designed to squeeze Moscow financially and encourage them to come to the negotiating table with a greater sense of urgency. Some analysts suggest that the delay in the summit could actually work to America's advantage, giving these new sanctions more time to take effect and potentially strengthening the US position when talks eventually resume. Meanwhile, European allies are watching developments with a mix of hope and concern. Many in the European Union are eager for a diplomatic breakthrough, but they also worry about whether any deal struck between Trump and Putin will truly safeguard Ukraine's sovereignty and security. As the days and weeks pass, the world waits to see if this bold and risky strategy, delaying the summit while increasing pressure, can transform a postponed meeting into a genuine opportunity for peace. With global attention focused on Washington and Moscow, the stakes could not be higher. The coming months will reveal whether the US can successfully broker peace and reshape the future of Eastern Europe. Joining us today for an in-depth conversation is NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte, a key figure at the heart of European security and transatlantic relations. Secretary General Rutte is here to share his insights on the evolving European perspective, especially in light of recent global developments and ongoing tensions in Eastern Europe. Mr. Rutte, thank you for making time for this important discussion. NATO's position on former President Trump's direct talks with Russian President Putin is a matter of great interest and significance for both Europe and the wider world. Rutte, NATO stands firmly behind credible diplomatic efforts aimed at achieving a just and lasting peace in Ukraine, always with full respect for Ukraine's sovereignty and territorial integrity. Close coordination with Ukraine and all NATO allies is absolutely essential to ensure that any diplomatic process is transparent and inclusive. There are legitimate concerns about any potential deal that might not fully safeguard European security or could undermine the stability of the region. Rutte. While dialogue with Russia is necessary, it must always be balanced with strong deterrence and a clear demonstration of NATO's resolve to defend its members. That's why NATO's eastern flank remains robustly fortified, with increased military presence and readiness to respond to any threats. We have full confidence that the United States, as a leading NATO ally, shares this fundamental principle of collective defense and deterrence. Rutte. If President Trump's engagement with Russia results in a genuine ceasefire, it would be a welcome and positive step forward, but it must be seen as only the beginning of a much longer process. NATO will continue to stand by Ukraine, providing support in defense, humanitarian aid, and reconstruction, while ensuring the safety and well-being of its citizens. Unity, strength, and open dialogue are the cornerstones of our approach, helping us navigate these complex challenges together. The road to peace is undoubtedly long and filled with obstacles, but NATO remains steadfastly committed to supporting Ukraine and upholding peace and security across Europe. Trump's strategy in the ongoing Ukraine conflict centers on achieving a ceasefire as quickly as possible, making the pursuit of immediate peace his top priority. He has repeatedly emphasized that halting the violence is the essential first step before any meaningful negotiations can take place. Trump argues that stopping the fighting on the ground will create the necessary breathing room for both sides to address the deeper, more complex political and territorial disputes that have fueled the war. This approach is not new for Trump. It closely mirrors the tactics he used in other high-stakes international disputes, such as his historic meetings with North Korea, where he prioritized de-escalation and direct dialogue. While a ceasefire is a critical first step, Trump and his advisors recognize that it alone is not enough. Security assurances must follow to ensure that peace is not just temporary, but sustainable in the long term. These guarantees could take the form of a demilitarized zone, monitored by international observers, or the deployment of peacekeepers from neutral countries to maintain order and build trust between the parties. By focusing on both an immediate ceasefire and robust security measures, Trump aims to craft a solution that addresses the core concerns of all stakeholders: Russia, Ukraine, and Western nations alike. For Russia, this strategy offers a dignified exit from a costly and increasingly unpopular war, allowing them to claim some measure of success while reducing further losses. For Ukraine, it promises a chance to restore safety for its citizens, begin the long process of rebuilding shattered communities, and return to a sense of normalcy. Meanwhile, Europe and the United States are eager for stability in the region, hoping to reduce the risk of a wider conflict and the economic fallout that comes with prolonged war. Many believe that Trump's personal involvement, his willingness to engage directly with world leaders, and his reputation for unconventional deal-making could be key factors in achieving a breakthrough. His practical, results-oriented approach is designed to cut through years of diplomatic deadlock and unlock a resolution that once seemed impossible to achieve. As the world watches closely, the stakes could not be higher. Trump's efforts to broker a lasting peace in Ukraine may shape the future of international relations for years to come. Central to this effort is protecting Ukraine, which has suffered immensely. Trump's ceasefire call is a humanitarian appeal to end the tragedy. Security for Ukraine means long-term sovereignty and independence. The Trump administration explores options like treaties or advanced defensive aid. Ukraine's security is linked to Europe's, especially Eastern Europe. NATO allies fear Russian aggression and seek reassurance. The U.S. stations troops in Eastern Europe, signaling unity against threats. Trump's plan addresses Ukraine's and NATO's security concerns. A stable Ukraine acts as a buffer, enhancing European safety. Economic pressure and diplomacy aim to guide Russia towards peace. Trump uses economic pressure as leverage in diplomacy with Russia. New U.S. sanctions target Russia's vital oil industry, reducing its income. These sanctions create financial strain, limiting Russia's war capabilities. International companies withdraw from Russian projects, fearing U.S. penalties. The strategy aims to make war costlier than peace for Russia. Putin's recent call to Trump suggests economic pressure is impacting Moscow. The U.S. combines sanctions with dialogue to encourage negotiation. The postponed summit allows sanctions more time to work. The message to Russia: negotiate or face growing economic pain. The strategy seeks to guide Russia towards a diplomatic resolution. Europe's reaction to Trump's peace initiative is cautiously optimistic. European leaders, burdened by the war's impact, welcome U.S. leadership. A German diplomat expressed relief at America's direct role. However, anxiety exists over potential deal details. European officials insist Ukraine's sovereignty must be central. France emphasizes the need for transatlantic coordination. Ukraine welcomes serious negotiations for a just peace. Kiev's conditions include Russian troop withdrawal and border restoration. U.S. involvement gives Ukraine a powerful ally in talks. Sanctions and economic leverage are seen as tools for achieving goals. Despite concerns, Trump's diplomacy offers hope for ending the war. Engaging with Putin is complex, with critics fearing legitimacy for a lawbreaker. Concerns exist that Trump might concede too much in negotiations. The Trump administration argues that dialogue is necessary for peace. Dual-track diplomacy combines deterrence with dialogue. Sanctions on Russia's oil industry provide pressure. Talks offer a path forward. The strategy aims to change Russia's behavior through economic pain and isolation. The goal is to make peace more appealing than continued conflict. It's a high-risk, high-reward approach, with global implications. Success could bring peace to Ukraine and stability to Europe. Failure might validate critics' concerns about engaging with Putin. Trump navigates a diplomatic tightrope with the world watching. Despite diplomatic efforts, tensions remain high on NATO's eastern border. Recent incidents like Russian drones in NATO airspace highlight risks. NATO's response is firm, with air defenses on high alert. Secretary General Rutte emphasizes NATO's readiness to defend its territory. These tensions underscore the urgency of de-escalating the conflict. The risk of miscalculation or escalation is a powerful incentive for talks. Trump uses this shared danger to push for a negotiated settlement. Economic pressure on Russia is growing, impacting its war capabilities. The international coalition supporting Ukraine remains strong. The U.S. push for a ceasefire opens a new pathway to peace. Economic leverage, military deterrence, and dialogue offer hope for ending the war.